Welcome to the ITSP Magazine Podcast Network, a modern, innovative multimedia platform, broadcasting ideas and connecting minds. Every company has a story to tell, from the small startup to the large enterprise, and everything in between. This is one of them. We hope you enjoy this brand story conversation.
All right, here we are, and it's time to redo some stuff. Rethink security. Redefining security is the name of my show, so I like the name of your company, Resecurity.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
It's very
Strange
cool.
correlation. That's great.
So here we are. We're coming to you from Hacker Summer Camp. It's the final moments of Black Hat here in Las Vegas, USA 24, and I've had a great time talking to some cool people. And I have the pleasure of talking to two cool people in this episode from Resecurity. Christian and Shawn, how are you guys?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Doing great.
I don't know about cool.
You are cool.
Cool.
We're all
cool like you read about.
Nerds
Nice.
are cool. I can call you a nerd. You'll accept that. So we're all cool nerds.
Nerds are cool.
I'm a cool
Agreed.
nerd. I'm a nerd anyway. But I know you've released some new things. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about what you do and how that helps security teams identify and respond to things more effectively and efficiently. Before we do that, maybe who wants to kind of give the overview of what Resecurity does, kind of set the stage with that?
You're closest.
Shawn?
Go ahead, Shawn.
All right. So Resecurity, we are a threat intelligence company. We help customers understand, are they being targeted, are they breached? But we do it from a different perspective. We don't do it from inside the firewall out. We are helping our customers understand what criminals know about their infrastructure, about their employees, why they're attacking, when they're going to attack, and how they're going to attack. So we are outside the firewall looking in, giving the perspective of the threat actors.
Nice.
So just to pull on that a little bit more, because there's certainly intel, OSINT we can look at where some of that might be out there, right? Some of that information might be out there. And then there are just general weaknesses, like you might have showdown information that might say this particular device has this hard-coded password, you use that and you can use it to conduct some attack. Sounds like you're pulling a bunch of that stuff together, or what are some of the, how do you get the data that you're...
So our data originates from the dark web.
Okay.
So for example, we know a PC used by an employee of a company is infected with malware because we have access to the botnet record that was exfiltrated from the machine at time of infection. We scrape between 30 to 50,000 sources a day in the dark web. So it's not, and the other thing is we do not buy data from anybody. We self-source all of our own data.
Okay.
So what makes our stuff different, because a lot of companies have threat intel. What our threat intel is different is that we give you the perspective of the attacker. We say
literally
the perspective of the attacker. What toolkits they're using, what they're planning on doing, why they're doing it, if they have access to data within your network, what data do they have access to? So think of it as a ground truth. So for example, like I said before, we have the botnet record of the machine. We know by definition, because the machine was infected with malware, it was not detected by any of the security products or processes. So what we have is ground truth. We know it's infected because it's in the criminal's inventory.
Yep. Yeah, hard to contest that. So, yeah, much better than a general indicator or compromise within. You have proof. Do you find that companies leverage that to? Well, I guess what do they do with the information? Because
they do it to be able to determine, are they being targeted? Will they be targeted? The criminals talking about the planning of the attack. Have they breached you, but they have not victimized you, so you're breached, but you don't know you're breached, because you normally don't know you're breached until you're victimized, or the threat actor elects to let you know that you're breached.
in the form of a ransomware request?
In the form of a ransomware request, extortion, any number of ways.
Or as well, they're there and you have no idea.
Yep. And a lot of companies are breached. They just don't know it because they have not been victimized yet.
So, one of the things that I was looking at before we started chatting is the dark web. This isn't just U.S. English-based stuff. Probably more so the other. Maybe you can tell me in our audience. But multiple languages, multiple tool sets, multiple objectives, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about what you're seeing there.
Yeah. So the first thing to think about is the definition of dark web, because every vendor has different definitions. A lot of threat intel vendors say we have access to dark web, but what they really mean, once you peel back the onion on asking them how they get access to the data, how do they maintain access, what you really quickly find out is their definition of dark web is websites on Tor that have little to no barriers to entry. Okay. Our definition of dark web is different. We are in the surface web, we're in the dark web, as just defined, but we're also in the vetted invitation-only forums. And in the vetted...
And now they know.
And now they know.
It's a huge marketplace, though.
Yeah. So the main thing is the higher you go up that pyramid, the more professional the criminals are. So if you're in the open Tor web communities, that's where a lot of the script kiddies hang out, the unprofessional criminals.
Still effective.
Still effective, still impactful, but just because a threat actor claims X doesn't mean it's true, because he has no skin in the game, because if he claims X, he ends up ripping off another criminal. There's no barrier to entry to create another account and regain access. Where if you're in the vetted only forums, there's a good chance that if you steal or lie within those forums, you're kicked out of those forums. And it can take 1 or 2 years of effort to get invited back in.
Potentially along with the individuals that vetted you.
Yes.
Right? So now you're in trouble.
Okay.
Yeah. So they as far as cyber criminals go, there's as honest as a criminal can be when you go up into the higher form.
Thick as thieves.
Well, loyal anyway.
Loyal.
Yes. Loyal.
There is definitely a loyal following. Agree. That's important.
Yeah. So we're in all 3 layers.
Okay.
So that gives our data, which powers our risk platform, our context platform, our fraud protection platform, identity protection, exec protect. It gives our data is our differentiator.
Okay. Don't give away any secrets that you don't want to, but how are you getting that data out of those sources and into something that's usable?
One thing I could say is, one thing for sure is the dark web, the threat actor environment, the underground economy, whatever you want to call it, it is a person-to-person environment, right? No matter what you go
There's no API
down to
call.
no matter all of the vendors down there with like a Formula One spinning on a mirror, there is not technology that can technically penetrate this loyal, thick as thieves environment, right? It is a human-to-human environment. So we rely heavily on researchers and human intelligence. And that's a bespoke solution.
Right.
Yeah, so back to your question, adding on what Christian said, is there's various ways we collect the data.
Okay. Various ways.
But, that's just factual. Many.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. I mean, it's very human. And so you're how do you take what's human and put it in a format? Does it remain human to your customer?
Sometimes.
Or is it an actual feed?
Contextual and attribution?
Yeah. So in our products where we're able to obtain data logs and stuff, we normalize it. We schematize it, so it turns it unstructured form data into structured data.
Okay.
So it allows for analytics to be done.
Okay.
Sometimes we do human reports, special reports for customers who want to know a particular thing, want to go detail in a certain area. That information may be pushed to the portals or maybe in a written report. It depends on what the customer likes.
Right. Because I can envision the power of a story here, right? To really understand what's the intent, what's the objective, because that might also determine when and how. Well, you probably have that, but the when perhaps, and the potential impact
I think it also like identifies like the need for collaboration between the organization and the collaboration of like, this is valid data, or hey, can you pivot? You're left a boom. Can you pivot on the collections, etc. I think that's a really beneficial thing. And knowing something about the organization, their compute nodes, right, helps us go towards different solutions.
So some of the new stuff that you've announced this week and work you've been doing leading up to Black Hat, AI is a big thing. Before we started recording, we talked that I think we've seen posts online as well. Every company has AI in their branding. Every company has AI in the products. The definition of that is different for everybody. Nobody's putting that on their billboards, of course. But tell me the story about the AI that you have, and how are you using it to make what you do better?
So there's a few things that we do. We use AI to help take unstructured data and make it structured to allow for analytics to be done across the data. We also allow for natural language questions. So in addition to our products where you can do queries and do monitoring, you can also ask context or risk questions in English.
Right.
Please summarize this. And instead of giving you all the pieces and parts, we'll actually say, here's an abstract summary to the answer you wanted based on our data, which sets our solution apart.
Right.
And with some backup information. So what it used to take an analyst days, weeks to collect and do stuff, they can ask a simple question, or simple questions do it multiple times, to build that report automatically, and then they can enrich it with other data providers.
Okay. Yeah, because I can see a scenario. Ultimately, we want to know what the intelligence is telling us. Well, if they've been popped, then obviously that's proof that they know what system and applications are being used. But if it's a general, maybe it's a sector based, we're going to target the sector, and we're in this sector. I don't know if you do some of this as well, but and we're looking at these types of systems with these types of applications with these known vulnerabilities, and we're going to do a sweep on the sector to target those. Could an organization say, we have, I don't know, are we in this target area? I don't know. Tell me how they might use these queries.
You can ask the system, how, let's say you have a subsidiary in a particular country. You can say, okay, how are threat actors targeting entities in that country, because it may be different than entities in other geographies being targeted. And why are they doing it, and how are they doing it, and what are the evolving trends?
Okay.
And you can ask that in AI, and we'll provide it. You can say, hey, based on my company, what threats should I be concerned about? And and you can say break it down by region.
Okay.
I also think about AI as, what are you solving for, right? Having many years of experience in enterprise computing, it kind of makes me think of like, all things are equal, like ceteris paribus. We used to have a problem with SIM, right? Like, can you see the trees through the forest? And every time technology advances, we have to solve for that, right? And I do believe in some regards, AI helps, right that problem, fast track the analyst to an enriched workflow, and potentially early detection of threats.
The other thing that says
manpower too, reduction in manpower.
Because it makes them more efficient to the common things they can automate, which allows them to focus their energy on new and novel things, being more proactive. But also our AI is a little different, is you ask a question, you get the answers back, but then it allows you to drill into the details. Hey, your PC was infected with malware with these characteristics. Click here, look at the botnet record for those machines.
Okay.
So it's not just AI running by itself, but it's AI running in context of our data and the capabilities of our tooling.
Also, I mean, like in terms of like contextualized data, we have 40 million centric actor records combined with 850 million, a billion, right? Records, and how does a hunter, hunt through that efficiently? And it's also contained, isolated, and that helps ultimately reduce false positives. Or I think you also had some interesting thoughts on that, right?
Well, because of our data is from all the layers of where the criminals conduct their business, it helps prevent AI hallucinations,
Right.
or blind spots, because AI can only learn and report on what it knows. It has limitations on, if I know X, can I infer Y?
What we've taught it.
Yeah, where our X is much bigger, so it doesn't have to be as much abstract inferring because it has the data to work with.
Interesting. So in the final moments we have here, can you give me a scenario or two where, I mean, I can see a broad spectrum of forensics, response, or recovery and response, and working back to detection before you even have an issue, and then obviously you have an issue. Where is it rooted? Mm-hmm. So, how does what you do help teams be faster, more effective? I'm thinking about decision making in the organization when they realize something's going on, so they can actually respond quickly to whatever the situation is.
But they can also proactively respond.
Right.
So for example, by looking at our botnet logs, they can monitor the efficacy of their security products and processes. And is the number of PCs being infected increasing? Therefore, their efficacy of their products and services that exist today are becoming less effective. So it just allows them to better understand predictive, am I being targeted, am I breached, and I just don't know it yet. Right. What are things that should I be watching for?
It's a different view on exposure management, isn't it?
I would also concatenate, with this reduction in manpower, with this reduction in compute power, you can also start to focus on different things, like say, why don't I watch my affiliates, my supply chain as well, right? Because there is definitely associations, right? It could be in a financial risk, or it could be in an incident management. Having the ability to actually, spread your wings within this kind of data field is a benefit what it's solving for as well.
And Christian raises a good point, because a lot of our customers, when they monitor their digital footprint, digital risk, they understand that they inherit the digital risk of their supply chain.
Big time.
So our services also allow them, through AI and through our normal products, monitor the risk of their suppliers. What's the likelihood of them being risked? So the other thing to think about is our products scale. Through MSSPs, offer our services to smaller companies. We also offer it to large corporations. Also, governments license our services to monitor their critical infrastructure. Are there power plants being targeted? Is there water supplies being targeted?
Yes, and yes.
Yes. But it also allows them to say, okay, this is the normal.
I don't know why we laugh at that. Yeah. It's scary.
It is bad.
Yeah. They all say this is our normal threat index. All of a sudden, it's spiking. Okay, something changed. Something bigger is coming soon.
Right. Interesting. Well, I could keep talking for hours here. So many points I want to dig into. But I think we have a nice solid overview, and congrats on all the innovations and the work you're doing at all the levels of the stack there in terms of intelligence.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can chat some more.
Thank you to ITSP and the listeners.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Christian, Shawn, thanks for joining me. Everybody listening, watching, be sure to check out Resecurity. Get intelligent on how you deal with your threats and where you might be targeted. Thanks everybody listening.